Some of us, we focus so much on, oh, I'm so sick. I'm not well. Help me. Why am I so sick? Why me? I get it. I used to say the same exact thing. Let me tell you something. You cannot give up. You got to change your language. You got to believe that you're going to get better day by day, step by step, minute by minute.
Welcome to the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast with Stephanie A. Wynn, an online health and wellness podcast where I, your host, will provide weekly wellness tips about inflammatory bowel disease, specifically Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. The Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast is a mixture of special guest interviews from healthcare professionals, IBD survivors, Crohn's survivors, ulcerative colitis survivors, and community thought leaders. Be sure to select the subscribe button and let's start the health and healing process from the inside out. We are back for another episode of the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast, where I, your host, Stephanie A. Wynn, will be bringing you many tips about important health topics and share stories of resilience and hope. Listen, this episode is near and dear to my heart. For those that don't know, I was diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease. You know, I like to start each show with the renewing of your mind. I want you all to know we have a really good topic this week. This week's episode is coping with inflammatory bowel disease, coping with IBD. You know, today we are talking about the challenges faced while coping with inflammatory bowel disease. But before we get into this week's topic and episode, let's talk about your mindset. Before you can start the health and healing process, it starts with your mind. So if you don't believe that you can heal, then you can't heal. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally. A lot of us are held in mental bondage. And let's talk about mental bondage. You know, I call it the bags. What is the bags? Bags is bondage, mental bondage. The B for bags is mental bondage. I mean, let's talk about that. Not like bondage like you're enslaved like a slave. I'm talking about bondage in your mental. Some of us, we focus so much on, oh, I'm so sick. I'm not well. Help me. Why am I so sick? Why me? I get it. I used to say the same exact thing. Let me tell you something. You cannot give up. You got to change your language. You got to believe that you're going to get better day by day, step by step, minute by minute. So on this show, we're going to have a growth mindset. We're not going to come from a bondage mindset or a scarcity mindset. We're going to have that growth mindset because that growth mindset is, I am healed. You know, that self-sabotaging everything, nothing is working, is medicine. No, we're not going to have that attitude. We're going to have a growth mindset because when you have that growth mindset, you start the healing process. Okay, so let's jump right in. So for many people that's living with inflammatory bowel disease, the condition can be a daily challenge, right? The physical symptoms of IBD, such as abdominal pain and diarrhea, can be distressing and can interfere with daily activities. In addition, the uncertainty and unpredictability of the condition can cause anxiety and uncertainty about your future. So, you know, living with this condition for the last 4 years, let me tell you, it is uncertain. You don't know whether you're going to have an accident. You know, do you stay home because you don't want to be out and you have to go? And I'll talk about that later too, about what you should do. But let's talk about these challenges. So these challenges can make coping with IBD difficult. And it is important for individuals with IBD to find ways to manage the physical and the emotional impact of the condition. That's why I talk about your mind, your mental. It is so vital to the healing process. When you're constantly saying, I'm so sick. Oh, my stomach is killing me. Oh, my head is killing me. Oh, you know, that's what it really is. Over time, you keep saying that word killing. Remember, your brain sends signals to your body. And if you keep saying this over and over and over, you become what you behold. You become what you speak, right? Let's talk about it. Some common challenges faced by people with IBD include the following: managing physical symptoms. So It may be difficult for you to manage the physical symptoms of inflammatory bowel disease, especially during flare-ups, right? So it's important to work with the healthcare provider to find the best treatment plan and to seek support when needed. So you may need mental health counseling, therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. You cannot, I'm telling you, you cannot go through this by yourself. You got to find an outlet. And counseling, there's nothing wrong with it. So get with your healthcare provider who can recommend a therapist in your local area, right? You also want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Like maintaining a healthy lifestyle is a challenge. That's one of the challenges of dealing with and coping with inflammatory bowel disease. It can be challenging to maintain a healthy lifestyle with IBD, especially if the condition impacts your ability to eat and participate in physical activity. It's also important to know that you need to work with a healthcare provider and a registered dietitian to develop a personalized plan that meets your individual needs. Everyone that has inflammatory bowel disease has different needs, right? And then the third challenge, is coping with the emotional impact. Like the physical and emotional challenges of IBD can take a toll on your mental health. As you know, I'm talking about the mental because it starts there. It is so vital to seek support from a healthcare provider or mental health professional when needed. Let me tell you, one of the members on my healthcare team was a mental health therapist. Like I would literally go see my mental health therapist twice a week because it was bad. And I remember my mom rolling me into the mental health counselor in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. I was so frail. I'm telling you, this is what I'm telling you. It is no joke. Some people wouldn't win, but I needed to go because I just needed to see someone. This episode is brought to you by the Let's Talk Inflammatory Bowel Disease Health and Wellness Symposium, a health and wellness symposium hosted by the Stephanie A. Wynn Foundation, whose focus is on raising awareness of inflammatory bowel disease, also known as IBD, among African Americans who are disproportionately affected by this chronic illness. The goal of the symposium is to partner with healthcare community partners to support underserved African Americans living with inflammatory bowel disease in their pursuit to live a more quality life. This symposium, it is sponsored by our exclusive sponsor, which is Moffitt Cancer Center, who have come aboard to sponsor and believe in this symposium. We're going to have gastroenterologists there, mental health and wellness clinicians to speak about the importance of mental health when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness such as IBD. And in order for you to get on your journey of health and healing, we'll also have dietitians and nutritionists there to talk about your diet. Now, specifically for Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, it is definitely important. We'll have our exclusive community healthcare organizations, our financial exclusive well-being organization there, and we will also have a healthcare carrier there on site to sign you up for health insurance. Now, listen, this is not the normal symposium where you go and you hear a lot of people talk. We're actually getting things done on top of educating our community. One thing I do know is this: being diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease and being in the African American community, our treatment of healthcare is totally different compared to other cultures. And so we are wanting you to join us. Come join the conversation about the IBD healthcare disparities. This is going to take place again Saturday, March the 25th at 9 a.m. at Clearwater, Florida. And it's going to be at the Carroll Hotel. And the information is going to be in the show notes. Now, listen, if you're unable to attend in person and you would like to sponsor or you would like to donate to the cause, I'm going to drop the link in the show notes as well. Without further ado, we're going to get back to the show. And thank you for your time. Peace. So imagine all the people that are suffering in silence. Imagine all of the people who, you have friends, but they don't know that you're going through this issue with IBD. We need to get some help. And the last challenge is dealing with social and emotional challenges. The physical limitations of IBD make it, a little bit difficult to participate in activities or events. There's a stigma like surrounding digestive conditions, and it can lead to feelings of isolation and shame. Let me tell you something. Even now, I'm invited to a lot of events, and in my mind, I want to be in the building because, as I stated, I was this butterfly, right? but my body won't allow me to do it. And I'm okay with that. Let me tell you what I do. I find something that I know that I can enjoy. So it's important to seek support from either loved ones and to connect with others who are living with inflammatory bowel disease. By finding strategies to cope with these challenges, anyone who's diagnosed with IBD can improve their quality of life and find ways to manage their condition. Let me tell you what I did while I'm on this journey. Every month, I love to read. I don't watch TV much. I check the weather and I make sure that my Baltimore Ravens are winning, right? During football season. But I went on this, I challenged myself to read 4 books a month. I love reading. And I take from those books every month, right? So here's something that I want you to think about. Find some strategies that may be helpful, including seeking support from like your loved ones, your healthcare providers, right? Mental health counselors, maybe incorporating some self-care strategies like relaxation techniques into your routine, engaging in more of physical activity, and seeking support, like I said, from a mental health counselor if needed. It's also important to remember that everyone is different, and what works for one person may not work for you, right? It is also a good idea to work with a healthcare provider to find strategies that work for you and to seek support when needed. As you can see, I keep talking about mental health and your healthcare team, right? These are some strategies that can help you. And with having inflammatory bowel disease, you need a lot of self-care. That may be massage therapy, you go into the sauna, sitting in the sauna, just walking the beach, walking. You need a lot of self-care that is stress-free. So I want to thank you all for tuning in for this week's episode, Coping with Inflammatory Bowel Disease. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, please don't hesitate to reach out. My name is Stephanie A. Wynn. I want to also tell you all, listen, the Let's Talk Inflammatory Bowel Disease Health and Wellness Symposium is underway. Registration is open. It is going to be amazing. Our exclusive sponsor is Moffitt Cancer Center. The goal of the symposium is to really, truly join the conversation about healthcare disparities in the African American community, for specifically those who are diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. So until next time, stay healthy, and more importantly, it's time to heal from the inside out. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast, an online health and wellness podcast where I, your host, Stephanie A. Wynn, will provide weekly wellness tips about inflammatory bowel disease, specifically Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Be sure to select the subscribe button and let's start the health and healing process from the inside out.